All right, hello everyone, and welcome. We're going to jump right into a topic that, honestly, is make or break for anyone working in public service. We're talking about managing human behavior. You know, the people side of the work that makes our communities tick. And a huge welcome to everyone in our PP 5361 study group for Theory and Management of Public Service Organizations. We're cracking open the required text, Managing Human Behavior in Public and Nonprofit Organizations, and kicking things off with Chapter 1. So, what's our roadmap for this explainer? Pretty simple. We're going to start by putting ourselves in the hot seat, a new manager facing a total crisis. Then we'll unpack a really powerful way of thinking that helps cut through all that chaos. After that, we'll look at the essential toolkit every manager needs. And to wrap it up, we'll see some hard proof of just how much a great boss can change everything. Ready? Let's get into it.
So first up, a manager's tough challenge. I want you to really picture this. You just got a big promotion. You're the one they call to fix things. And boy, have they handed you a mess. You're now the head of a division that is, for lack of a better word, a complete disaster.
Your new gig? You're leading the Child Support Enforcement Division. And it is not going well. The performance is terrible, citizens are angry about how they're being treated, and the media is all over it, saying private companies could do it better. And your employees? They're just beaten down. People are quitting left and right. And you know what? You can see they're smart, committed people. They're just stuck with barely any resources.
So, you walk in on your first day. All of that, it's now your problem. The pressure's on. What's the very first move you make? It's a tough question, right? It almost feels paralyzing unless you have the right way to see what's really going on.
And that brings us to our next section, a new way of thinking. Because here's the thing. You can't fix a people problem with a spreadsheet or a new policy alone. You need a different kind of tool, a special lens to see all the human dynamics happening under the surface. And that lens? It's called organizational behavior.
So, what is organizational behavior, or OB, as we'll call it? It's basically the science of how people act in places like our troubled child support division. It's about figuring out what drives them, how they work together, or don't, and how we can actually influence the human side of getting work done.
Now this is a really important distinction. You could approach this whole mess from an organizational theory perspective. You know, start with the org chart, the systems, the efficiency. But organizational behavior, it completely flips the script. It says, no, we start with the person. It asks, what do these demoralized employees need? How can we make things fair and help them grow? The bottom line is, for a challenge like this, you have to start with the people.
But this OB lens isn't just a single viewpoint. It's more like a microscope with different settings. It lets us zoom in and out to see the problem at multiple levels. Let's take a look at what that means.
This diagram just lays it out perfectly. Look at the bottom, you got the individual. Here we're asking, what makes each worker tick? Then you zoom out a level to group processes. Is the team culture toxic? Do they even feel like a team? Then up again to organizational influences. Is the whole division set up to fail? Are the resources really as bad as they seem? And finally, at the very top, governance. How are the angry public and the politicians breathing down our necks affecting everything? You see? Any real solution has to work on all four of these levels at once.
Okay, so we've got our lens to see the problem, we know where we need to look, but what do we actually do? What are the skills a manager needs in their toolkit to start turning the ship around?
Well, our ideas about that toolkit have changed a lot. Back in the early 1900s, this guy, Frederick Taylor, basically saw workers as cogs in a machine. Just make them more efficient. But then, a huge breakthrough in the 30s, the Hawthorne studies showed that, get this, human relationships actually matter for productivity. Who knew? That led to ideas like Theory Y, which says people are naturally motivated, and now to Positive OB, which is all about focusing on what people do well. We've definitely come a long way.
So what's in a modern manager's toolkit? Well, the U.S. Office of Personnel Management, that's the HR department for the federal government, put together this awesome list. And just look at them. So many are pure OB skills. Number 4, leadership. Number 8, communication. And number 9, interpersonal sensitivity. That's about knowing yourself and how you come across to others. Back in our child support division, that means you're not just barking orders. You're actually listening, understanding why your staff is so frustrated. These are the real tools you need. And I love this framework because it shows how it all connects. See, at the very center, it's about your personal skills. Communication, being sensitive to others, that's your foundation. From there, you can build out to lead a team effectively. And only once you have those 2 layers down can you really manage at the big picture organizational level. It all starts with you and how you connect with your people.
All right, let's get down to it. The bottom line, does all this stuff, the lens, the skills, the focus on people, does it actually pay off? Does being a good boss really matter? Oh yeah, the evidence is absolutely overwhelming.
So, check this out. A massive study from the National Bureau of Economic Research asked a simple question. What is a great boss actually worth? The answer is staggering. They found that replacing a bad manager with a top-tier one boosts productivity so much, it's like adding a whole new person to a 9-member team. I mean, just let that sink in. A great boss literally makes the team bigger.
We've all heard this one, right? Turns out it's not just some snappy saying. It's a fundamental truth. Study after study shows that the #1 thing that determines if an employee is happy and engaged is the quality of their direct supervisor. It's not the salary, it's not the free snacks. It's the boss.
And the other side of that coin is just as stark. 58% of people say that bad management is the single biggest thing dragging down their productivity. The link is crystal clear. Bad bosses create checked-out employees. Good bosses create teams that are happy, dedicated, and get a ton of stuff done. The stakes are just incredibly high.
And that brings us right back to you. And back to that struggling child support division we started with. Everything we've talked about today isn't just academic theory. It's a practical guide. It's a choice about how you're going to lead people. So the question I'll leave you with is this. What kind of boss will you choose to be?